Welcome to the Dixie Belle YouTube channel. My name is Amy and I'm from the channel FlipItFurniture. And today we're making over this bedside table that I found at the thrift store. I love finding the single bedside tables. It gives me an opportunity to create something really fun and colorful and something that can be used in a child's room, like a little accent piece. For a list of all the products I use in this video and where to buy them, be sure to check out the description box below. Now let's flip it. First things first, I need to clean my piece, and I'm using Dixie Belle's White Lightning Cleaner. When my piece is thoroughly clean, I go back with a damp cloth. It's just water on my cloth, and I'm rinsing down all of that cleaner residue. I'm priming this with Dixie Belle Boss in gray. I will often use a blocking primer when I buy something from the thrift store because you just don't know where it came from. So you want to make sure that you're blocking any odors or tannins, but I mean especially those odors. Slick Stick is also a good primer for this piece because the surface is really slick. I've done a few of these pieces and it can be kind of tricky. So if you were nervous about your paint peeling or not sticking right, just go ahead and add your Slick Stick first. You want to do 2 coats of it, and then you can add your paint. I'm going to change out the hardware for this, and I'm going to use some pulls. So I need to fill in the existing hardware holes, and I'm using Dixie Belle's mud for this. I just apply it into the holes, get as much as I can in there, and then I wait for it to dry. I'll sand it smooth, and then usually it sinks a little bit, so I'll add just a little bit more of the Dixie Belle mud, wait for that to dry, and then sand it again until it's flush. I need a base coat, so for our first coat I am using Plum Crazy, and I'm going to add Plum Crazy to the entire bedside table except the drawer fronts. We're going to use something else on the drawer fronts. Keep in mind, this is not what the piece is going to look like. This is just the first coat. It's the base coat. I'm just covering up this primer. I realize I probably should have done this before, but I don't know why it slipped my mind. I need to add my hardware holes. Now for the second coat, I'm starting with Aubergine. Aubergine is my first color because it's going to be the darkest color, and I want it to go closer to the bottom. And my second color is Muscadine Wine. When you mix Muscadine Wine, Plum Crazy, and Aubergine, they make their own colors. So it's a really easy color combination to blend because when you're mixing those colors, they don't really get muddy. They just make like another gorgeous plum sort of color. So for the most part, I'm covering the aubergine with muscadine wine over on those sides. And then through the center, like right now I'm taking my aubergine and I'm going over the muscadine wine. I don't have to be super particular about, having the sides even or anything because I know that no matter how this is blended, it's going to come up really pretty with these colors. Then I'm adding muscadine wine to the center, and now I'm going to bring the muscadine wine all the way up. And as you can see, I'm spraying often. We have our heat on here, so my air is a little dry. We want to keep our paint nice and wet so that it's movable, so I can move these colors up and down and I can blend them. For me, the water mister is key. And I'm getting a little bit of the colors on the drawers, just right on the edge of the drawers. And that's strategic because I'm gonna do a little bit of blending on the drawer fronts. So now I've got my Plum Crazy in the mix, and my Plum Crazy is gonna be all the way at the top of the front. So I'm gonna mix my Plum Crazy now with muscadine wine. When I say mix, I guess I mean more of a blend than a mix. So now to tackle these drawer fronts, I'm just using my screwdriver to open the drawer, and then I'm going to use my drop cloth in the center. I'm going to the center first because I want the middle of the drawer to be more drop cloth and not that much blend. I only want the edges to be blended. And I have to wait to paint the edge, the top and the sides of these drawers because my paint is already wet and I don't want to make a huge mess. So I will come back later after this is painted, like right before I'm going to put my sealer on, and I will choose probably the color I'm going to use on the top of this for the edges of the drawers. I'm following the same process for the next two drawer fronts. For the sides, I'm going to add my aubergine to the bottom and then to the sides. I have a little rag with me and I'm gonna wipe just to make sure I don't bring that aubergine back to the front, and we don't want any drips or anything. Now I'm adding muscadine wine to the center. I haven't started blending yet. I'm just laying my paint on the piece first. And then I'm gonna add my last color, which is the Plum Crazy, to that top center. Then I take my muscadine wine and I start to blend it out, at least on the top. And I head back to the bottom and I start blending the bottom out. Now I'm taking a dry brush and I'm just blending the muscadine wine and the aubergine in the center. And I will go back and forth with my brushes. I go back with the aubergine, I go back with the muscadine wine, I go back and forth, up and down, crisscross. You just want to blend these colors together. And like I said earlier, the colors that these two make once they're blended is just really gorgeous. So I don't have to be really particular with how I'm blending it because I'm already pretty confident in what the colors are going to look like once it's dry. Now we're making a custom color for the top, and I'm mixing all three colors. aubergine muscadine wine, and a little bit of plum crazy. So when I'm painting it on the top, I'm doing a very thin layer, and I'm adding a lot of water with my water mister because for me that's the key of getting a really, really smooth finish, a lot less brush strokes. It looks so good. So I have my water mister in one hand and my paintbrush in the other hand. And the entire time, I'm just using my brush to smooth it out. If you just saw that, I even sprayed a little bit of water into my paint because I want it to be really, really thin. Once I've laid all the paint on, then I go back and I smooth it out with my brush. So after I know that it's nice and smooth, I let it dry at least an hour, and then I come back with a second coat. Now back to the drawer fronts. I'm using Floral Romance, the furniture transfer. I'm just placing the transfer on there and sort of measuring it out. Right where it creases, I'm just going to use my pencil to make a crease line, and then that's where I'm going to cut it with my scissors. When I saw the colors of the flowers, that's when I knew aubergine, muscadine wine, and plum crazy would be great together. This was actually my inspiration for another piece that I did a long time ago with these three colors. I just take the transfer off of the backing paper, add it to my piece of furniture. It sticks like a sticker, so then I can take the little stick that they provide and rub it on. And once I know it's on, I can start peeling the front paper off, and the furniture transfer sticks to your piece of furniture. Then I take a little sanding sponge and I gently go over the transfer just to make sure that there's no bubbles. If there are any air bubbles, that sanding sponge will pop them. Okay, so here I've applied the transfer to all three drawer fronts, and I've decided that the one on the top shouldn't be there. So I need to paint over it. To do this, I take another sanding sponge and I'm gonna sand this transfer super, super smooth, so that when I lay my paint over it, you would never know that there was a transfer underneath. After I sanded for a few minutes, I need to wipe it down with a rag just to make sure that none of this sanding dust is all over my piece. And of course I have little fingerprints and everything. So we're gonna clean that up and then it's ready for the paint. And we're just painting this little top drawer. Just like we did for the entire piece, I'm taking the aubergine on the ends, and then I will come in with muscadine wine next, and then the center is going to be my plum crazy. And then I'm just gonna blend those three colors up. And I only needed to do one coat to cover the transfer, so that was really good. Now we are ready to seal the piece, and I'm using Dixie Belle's clear coat in satin. Adding the clear coat is always my favorite part because it's that matte finish right now, but once you add the satin finish to it, it just makes it shine. It just looks so pretty and the colors look so vibrant underneath. When I'm adding the clear coat, I'm really careful not to leave any streaks. So when I'm applying it back and forth, I'm actually just smoothing it out. I just want the application to look nice and even and smooth. And you never want any drips. You want to smooth out all those drips. And as you can see, I matched the drawer fronts, the edges of the drawer fronts to the top. I used that same custom color. And I always seal my furniture transfers. Here's a reminder of what it looked like before, and here's what it looks like today. Here's our custom color on top, and it's nice and smooth. And then look at the vibrant colors. I just love this color combination. It might be one of my favorites. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time with another furniture makeover.